I was earning $42,000 a year when I first wrote down $100,000. I had no promotion coming, no wealthy connection, no job offer waiting for me. In fact, 3 weeks later, I was rejected from the job I thought would finally change my life. I almost stopped believing. But then, an email arrived from a company I had never even applied to. And when I opened the offer, the salary was exactly the number I had been writing every morning. I've been wanting to tell you this for weeks. I kept rewriting this message because I still can't believe how everything unfolded. You once told me, don't obsess over when the manifestation will arrive. Become the version of yourself who is ready to receive the opportunity. At the time, I nodded. But honestly, I didn't really understand it. Now I do. Because 6 months ago, I was completely unhappy with my salary. I was earning around $42,000 a year, and I knew I was capable of more. The frustrating part was that I wasn't new to my field. I had experience. I had developed skills. I had completed projects that had saved my company time and money. I had even trained people who were later promoted ahead of me. But somehow, I kept staying in the same place. Every time I thought about asking for a raise, fear stopped me. What if they said no? What if they thought I was being greedy? What if I wasn't actually worth more? That last question was the one that hurt the most. Because somewhere along the way, I had started believing it. One evening, I came home after another exhausting day. I opened my banking app. I looked at my balance. Then I looked at my monthly expenses. Rent, utilities, food, transportation, savings. There was barely anything left. I sat there thinking, is this really going to be my life? Work, pay bills, wait for payday, repeat. I didn't want a mansion. I didn't want a luxury car. I didn't even want to become rich overnight. I just wanted financial breathing room. I wanted to stop feeling anxious every time an unexpected expense appeared. I wanted to travel without calculating every dollar. I wanted to help my family without worrying about my own finances. And most importantly, I wanted to feel that my income reflected my abilities. So I opened my journal. I wrote one question. What salary would make me feel financially free? I thought about it for a while. Then I wrote, $100,000. I stared at the number. It looked enormous. Almost impossible. I actually laughed. Me? $100,000? I almost crossed it out. But instead, I wrote underneath, I am becoming the person who earns $100,000. That sentence felt different. I wasn't saying, please give me $100,000. I was saying, I am becoming someone who can receive and handle it. That night, I decided to try something. For 30 days, I would manifest my dream salary. Every morning, before touching my phone, I opened my journal. I wrote, $100,000. Then, I am worthy of earning $100,000 through meaningful work that values my skills. For a few minutes, I visualized myself receiving my salary. So I imagined opening an email and seeing an offer. I imagined sitting across from an employer. I imagined confidently answering, what are your salary expectations? I imagined saying, I'm looking for a compensation package around $100,000. And I imagined feeling calm when I said it. That was difficult, because even in my imagination, I was scared to ask for that much. So I kept practicing. Every morning. For the first week, nothing happened. Day 7, still nothing. Same job, same salary, same routine. But something inside me had started changing. I began noticing something I had never noticed before. I was constantly saying things like, I can't afford that. My salary isn't enough. I'll never get a job like that. I realized I had been repeating those thoughts for years. So whenever I caught myself saying them, I changed the sentence. Instead of, I can't afford it, I said, I'm creating a future where this is affordable. I'm open to discovering how I can get there. Then I started taking action. I updated my resume. I looked at the skills companies were paying more for. I enrolled in an online course. I started improving my portfolio. And I researched companies offering salaries closer to my goal. That's when I realized something uncomfortable. I had been applying for jobs based on what I thought I could get. instead of what I actually wanted. So I changed my strategy. I stopped applying to every opening. I started applying only to positions where my experience matched the responsibilities and salary range. For the first time, I wasn't applying from desperation. I was applying from intention. Then came the first rejection. "Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with another candidate." I stared at the email. I felt disappointed, but I opened my journal anyway. $100,000. I wrote it again. By the third rejection, I started questioning everything. One night, I looked at my journal and whispered, "Maybe I'm just fooling myself." I closed it. I decided not to write the number the next morning. Maybe I needed to be realistic. Maybe $100,000 was too much. Maybe I should change it to $60,000. That would be easier. And I went to sleep. But the next morning, something strange happened. Before I even opened my eyes fully, I remembered the number. $100,000. I got up, opened my journal, and wrote it again. This time, I added something new. "I don't need to know how." That sentence changed everything for me, because I had been obsessing over the path. I thought it had to come through a promotion, or my current company, or a particular job. I was trying to control the entire journey. So I wrote, "I am open to receiving this opportunity through the best possible path." Then I let it go. But I stopped checking my email every 10 minutes. I stopped asking, "When is it coming?" I focused on learning, working, improving, and trusting that the right opportunity could look different from what I expected. Then, on a completely ordinary Tuesday, my phone buzzed. It was an email. The subject line said, "An opportunity we think you'd be a great fit for." I almost deleted it. I didn't recognize the company. I hadn't applied there, but something made me open it. The recruiter explained that they had found my professional profile. They were looking for someone with my experience and recently acquired skills. The position sounded interesting. Then I saw the salary range. The range started around $90,000 and went above $100,000. "This can't be real," I replied. The interview process began. The first interview went well. Then came the second. Then a final interview. During the final conversation, the hiring manager asked me, "What salary range are you comfortable with?" This was the moment I had been practicing for. I took a deep breath and said, "Based on my experience and the responsibilities of this role, I'm looking for around $100,000. For a moment, nobody said anything. My heart was pounding. Then the hiring manager said, "That aligns with what we've budgeted." I almost couldn't believe it. I had learned not to assume anything until it was official. 2 days later, I received the email. I opened it. "We are delighted to offer you the position." I kept reading. Then I reached the compensation section. There it was, $100,000. The exact number. The number I had written every morning. The number that had once made me laugh. The number I had thought was unrealistic. I sat completely still. Then I opened my journal. The first page was still there. $100,000. And underneath, "I am becoming the person who earns $100,000. I started crying. Not because of the money, but I had spent years waiting for someone else to tell me what I was worth. There was one more surprise. The new position wasn't just better paid. It gave me flexible working hours, more opportunities to learn, a healthier work environment, and the chance to work on projects I actually cared about. What would financial freedom feel like? And suddenly, I realized I hadn't been manifesting a number. I had been manifesting a new standard. A few weeks later, I resigned from my old job. My manager looked genuinely surprised. He asked, "Is there anything we could have done to make you stay?" I thought about it. Then I smiled. I think I needed to realize my own value first. And I walked away. Not angry, not bitter, just grateful. Because that old job had taught me something. It showed me exactly what I no longer wanted. And that clarity helped me recognize what I did want. I still write my goals down, but now I do it differently. I use affirmations because I want to change the way I speak to myself. And I take action because opportunities still require me to move. The biggest change wasn't in my bank account. It was in me. I stopped thinking, And somehow, everything started changing. Thank you for sharing my story, Loa Tales. And Sophie, thank you for joining us and contributing such a wonderful manifestation story to our series. Your story beautifully shows how several manifestation practices can work together. First, scripting. You clearly wrote down your desired salary instead of keeping your goal vague. Second, visualization. You imagine not only receiving $100,000, but confidently stepping into the opportunity. Third, affirmations. You repeated, I am worthy of earning $100,000 through meaningful work that values my skills, helping you strengthen a new self-image. Fourth, aligned action. You improved your resume, learned new skills, built your portfolio, researched better opportunities, and took action. Fifth, detachment from the how. You stayed open to the opportunity arriving through a completely unexpected path. And finally, identity shifting. You stopped seeing yourself as someone who was simply your selfie hoping for more and began seeing as someone worthy of more. That is the real lesson in Sophie's story. Manifestation isn't only about getting what you want. It's also about becoming the person who is ready to receive and recognize new possibilities. Take aligned action and stay open to unexpected paths, because sometimes the opportunity you're waiting for isn't coming from where you're looking. And if you're manifesting something right now, don't keep it only in your mind. Write it in the comments. Your intention might be the beginning of your next manifestation story. Subscribe to Loa Tales because your next story might be unfolding. Already. This is Loa Tales.
I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Bye.